I'm going to walk over here and see if they can hear me. Can you hear me, Dave? At, all right, Shabbat Shalom.
I'm still looking at stuff.
I'm going to take people on we're testing the mic. I'm going to take everyone on a little tour. You like all these books? Look at these bookshelves. How's it going, Dave? Can you hear me? We're good? Okay, so if I get kind of loud so that I can get everyone's attention, what does that do to them? Too loud? You good? Okay. All right. Now, Dave, do you want to take the camera and walk it around? Or are we gonna? Okay, I'm gonna take them on a tour, and you can kind of follow it with the camera. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go find James. I got you. I'm gonna get everybody's attention and then kind of take everybody on a tour. Dave, are we good? Excuse me. So Shabbat Shalom. We still have people coming in, but I did want to take just a few minutes. We have people who are logged in literally from all over the world. But we do have people who've come in person tonight. And on behalf of United Israel World Union, and my good friends, the executive officers are here. James Tabor is here. Ralph Bunton is here. Dave and Patty Tyler are here. Any other officers of UIW here yet? Maybe not. But plenty of friends and people that have been with us for a long time, have traveled a long way. We appreciate you coming. And what I wanted to do, first of all, this evening is just take the entire group on a little tour of the place. Now, we're not going to dismount the camera and go into the back necessarily with that, but they can hear me talking through it, Dave, so you can kind of zoom in and follow. But if you would, if you've already seen it and you want to sit tight, that's fine, Jerry, it's okay. But the rest of you who would like to get a personal tour of the place, I'd be happy to take you on one. So Shabbat Shalom, greetings from Saint Francisville. And we're going to take this quick tour, and then we're going to sit down and have sort of an informal. What we're talking about tonight is a passage from Isaiah chapter 60, verse 22. It's the last verse in Isaiah 60. It says, "In its time, I will hasten it." And I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about, I think so. It ends at a white space. It's in other words, the meaning is you can go through life, you can do all these things, and then all of a sudden the stars align. And you couldn't change a thing if you tried. This today, to me, this place, what you're sitting in now, if you look back 30 days, 45 days, it wasn't here. Everything that you're a part of right now, it's so revolutionary. It's so overturned. It's unbelievable. So we're going to talk about that tonight. What's the future of UIW? I believe, by the way, yesterday marks the day of David Horowitz's passing. And so it would have been this morning in the year 2002 that they discovered that he had passed. In a way, I think that this represents what Amos, now I'm not saying Amos was talking about David Horowitz, don't get me wrong, But in Amos, there's this interesting passage, and it talks about raising the tabernacle of David, which is fallen. And in some way, as I sat here last night, late last night, studying and praying, knowing that it was the day, I thought about that passage in the book of Amos. And it really moved me because I think about everything that David Horowitz represented. We don't idolize a person, but we do respect his vision. He had this incredible vision that he was ahead of its time. Talking about in the 40s, he didn't care what color someone was. He didn't care if you were a man or a woman. If you were someone who thought of the Hebrew Bible, the laws of Moses as they were originally commanded at Sinai as a basis for your faith, you're a brother and sister. And it was really revolutionary in a way. So today marks an incredible day. I'm so pleased that you're all here. Each of you are very special to me. James as well. James is very special to me. And so I want to take just some time. We're going to take a walk around. We've got an incredible weekend planned for you. It's going to be long, but when you go home, you'll be able to say, wow, we did a lot in those few days. James, you want to say a few words before we take a tour? All right.
Yeah, two things. First, about the space. The day, I could look it up. I don't remember the date, but just over a month ago when Ross, he was in his old place and we were talking about this place being for rent. And he said, well, let me walk across the street. And he was talking to me on the phone as he walked. And he was looking in the windows and describing it. And I think at that moment, we said, well, let's get it. I said, you should get it. And he agreed and he called the owner, and that's how it started. But what I wanted to say is, for all this time now, 6 weeks or so, I've been looking at pano views, and Lori was helping with the design and all that. So I've just seen pictures, and then I walked in that door where Glenn's standing tonight, and I'm telling you, it's you've seen pictures. Okay, this is here and this is here, and let's say, where's your office? And not just oriented, but more of a feeling. And I know you felt it too, Rachel. You just come in. I think you all did. Some of you have been here before, and we're seeing the finished product, where we were watching the whole time. Many of you were. The first day of the paint on the floors and the walls and the putty.
Feels like a year ago.
And now it just seems, it has such a holy feeling to me. Remember, the word holy means special. That's all it means. It has such a special feeling, set apart, right? So I wanted to say that about the place. I just wanted to add something about David's vision. When some of the Jews returned from Babylonian captivity in 520 BC and later 515, more came. It was not even in any way all of the Jewish people, just a little remnant, as it's called. And almost none of these tribes, all the other tribes. But the prophets began to tell the people, don't despise the day of small things. I know that's been used by everybody for so many things, but it does have an actual context. And the idea would be that if you're really trying to catch on to the prophetic vision, which these pioneers were, they came back to the land, it'll be small at first. And the reason it doesn't matter about small, I mean, this is more people than you normally have on the Sabbath. I believe it was 3 for quite a while. It doesn't really matter. It matters whether, this is what I'll talk about tomorrow, but only one thing matters. Do you have the vision right? That's all that actually matters. Mm-hmm. Remember Elijah? And he thought he was one person left. He goes, I'm it.
They're all paid.
And he goes, actually, there are 50,000 that you don't know about, but I'm kind of keeping track of them. He's told, by the Malak or the Revelator. So that's what we want to talk about this weekend. Do we have the vision right? And if we have the vision right and the timing is right, then actually, I wrote a book on Paul, and normally, the Apostle Paul, he's Jewish, he's in the New Testament, but he does say some really interesting things here and there that don't have to do with all the controversy like Christology and who's Jesus and salvation, but he has practical things to say. And one of the things he says is that if you plant and you water, God gives the increase. And I really like that idea of it's not like, what could we do by our amazing wisdom and advertising techniques? But if you get the vision right and then you plant and water, we really want something to happen that would be from God. I think all of us want that. And if it isn't, I don't even know that we want it. Because what
you could force it.
I mean, lots of religions in our town in Charlotte, they're churches you can't even get in the parking lot. And I'm not saying they're all bad, but I'm saying they're attracting lots of people. Do they have the vision right? Generally, I don't think they do, but so that's what I'm thinking. But we'll talk about it more. So you're going to show us around a little bit?
Yeah, we're going to take a quick tour, and then
anyway, it looks wonderful, Ross.
Yeah.
And Lori couldn't be here, but I don't know if she's listening, but I want to say thank you, Lori.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Lori, for your...
Sure, she's watching. Well, what else would she be doing?
Your wonderful taste and all the literally dozens and dozens and dozens of hours you put in ordering things. And
I'll just say
about what goes with what and what.
She's your wife.
So
some people might think you're saying that just because she's your wife. Listen, I can tell you that she would be in class, and I could text her and say, Lori, look, I'm thinking about this picture here. What about now? I will say some of the decisions are mine. Those she might not agree with, but for the most part,
like all the ugly things.
Anything that's right. That's right. But I will say that she was very helpful through this whole thing, and many of you helped as well. So we're going to talk a little bit more. Ralph, we're going to get Dave and Patty, and we're going to talk about a vision for United Israel going forward. But look, let me show you this place. Come to a place that I will show you. So let me show you. So we're gonna do this. We're actually gonna walk right outside the door first. Dave, can you hear me outside? All right. So you have to come out. So this is the way I'll know if you're. See, some of you are thinking I've already seen this. You hadn't seen this.
We're gonna circle this building 7 times.
We're gonna walk around the building 7 times. Y'all get the goat horns.
Well, we just made
Now watch your step, but I want everyone to walk out in the yard with me.
we made the turn and it's super immediately.
That's right.
I knew I was here.
So if everyone will sort of gather around right here. Dave, I can see you in the window. Can you hear me okay? All right, good. So I need Anna and Derek, so hopefully they're on their way out. But I want to give people a few minutes. See, I came outside first because some people wanted to hang around. Sherry, call Anna. She's coming up the sidewalk, I believe. Come here, Anna. So I'm excited that everyone is here. And I love everyone, but Anna surprised me today and flew in from Canada, and we didn't know she was coming. So let me tell you, Anna designed this sign for us. Now, notice everyone wants to know what ooh la la is. That is an attractive name for a business.
I figured you'd know by now.
Well,
here, what, 2 or 3 weeks.
So a lady came in today and asked for ooh la la, and I said, that's me. No, I didn't. But so here's our sign. I think it's beautiful. I think it says what we need it to say. We have our logo. We have our web address. Isn't that nice?
Someone on Facebook said they'll learn about United Israel and then they'll go, ooh la la.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Once they know.
So here's our sukkah. Shannon is here. Shannon helped set up our sukkah. Erin and her kids, Brooke and Grace and Jimbo and Jamie was here. Dave and Sherry. Who else? Am I leaving anybody out that helped on the sukkah?
You know, in the
I said
Bible-
Shannon.
In the Bible, you can extend Sukkot another 8 days.
Absolutely.
We ought to do that.
Well, we did.
Let's do it. Yeah.
So the Christians
No, it
can,
says
the
that they had
Christians,
such a good time. They said,
Let's-
let's do another 8 days. This is them kings.
yeah. And the Christians leave their lights up for like weeks and weeks, so we can leave up our. So here's our sukkah. Please come inside. I want you to walk through. Watch your step on the carpet. Oh, wow, that's cool. That's so cool.
Are you kidding?
Look at this beautiful
So
place.
ingenious.
So
What a cool
now Brooke
idea.
made the chandelier, I believe.
Brooke?
Did Grace do it? Did Grace do it? Oh, where's Grace?
Is this your daughter? But you're not taking credit.
No, she
You're being honest.
okay.
I love it.
So this is our sukkah, and the kids decorated it. I say kids, the young adults. Young adults did. So watch your step, please.
Yes.
But Dave borrowed this from a roadside stop. All this bamboo, isn't this nice? Sherry said. Now, one year, Sherry almost got him arrested cutting down some. She thought she had
This
permission.
is really nice.
Is this
I like
nice?
The style of it.
So it's lovely. All right, so now come in and please notice how clean the windows are on the building. There are. I did that. I did the windows.
I thought maybe we were gonna give some woman
No.
credit.
They're actually not that clean. Come in, come in. Look, James, this is. Let me tell y'all as you walk in, we're gonna put a mezuzah on the door. So for those who don't know, the way that you put a mezuzah on the door, according to Chabad.org, you take the distance, you take the 84 inches, you
So
divide
got
it by
all
3,
fixed up. Get that
measure 28 inches down and mark it. So there you go.
What angle are you going to put it in? Inside or outside?
It's got to point in. You know this, Derek. Come on.
No, my mezuzahs are straight because they were always discussing. Should be this way or this way. I said mine will be straight.
All right. Well, you're right then. Yours are straight. I'm going to put these right here, but I'm going to. So just so you know, these cabinets this was originally, at one point it was a bank. So these cabinets were stationed like the cash register and all was behind this. We moved all these. We have displayed here, protected under this very expensive plexiglass. Plexiglass is really expensive, by the way. But we have these original United Israel bulletins and some really cool documents that you'll notice once the food is gone. So I think we'll have food so much this weekend you may not notice it. But here is some artwork. I think one piece in this whole place I bought. It was this piece here. I bought it in like the late 80s. Basically everything else was given to me. I found this Declaration of Israeli Independence in some of the stuff that Tabor gave me. And I reappropriated another piece of art and put that in there. Lori picked the colors. This painting here is by Betty Eddy. She's isn't this beautiful? And so we put the artwork up that we thought was appropriate for each place. Hello, Jodelle. I'm giving a quick tour. Kitchen, I think everyone knows where the restrooms are. All right, my tour is gone.
Oh, well, let me see if I can get this.
You gotta have it like quick.
Dave, do you want to put another microphone here, or do you? All right. I think what I'll do is have people sit wherever they're comfortable, and then James and Dennis. I mean, not Dennis. Dennis isn't here, is he? Did Dennis fly in? Surprisingly. Yep. Sit anywhere you want, guys. You're our special guest. Everyone's a special guest. Raise your hand if you're a special guest. Even people online, you're a special guest. All right, James, we're just going to probably turn some chairs
Did
around.
you do your whole tour? What about your?
No, I
office?
lost everybody. You want to
Oh.
see my office? Come on, I'll show you guys. If anyone's still on the tour other than James and I, we're going to look at my office. Look, isn't that nice? You like that? So here's the, I had to put this up, you know,
that's so
isn't that
cool.
nice?
I love it.
Now this is Khrushchev, this is Begin. Is this Dag Hammarskjöld? Is that
No.
who is this?
It's youth font, Secretary General, and I don't know who that is.
I can't remember, but he might be the same guy.
Yeah.
And then is this Betty Davis?
That is Gloria Swanson.
Gloria Swanson. I need to put little tags so you kind of know who they are.
Great.
And then my office. Come on in my
Oh, this
office,
is
Derek.
Nice, very nice.
Now I have a few things out because I'm working on my study.
Step into my office in the mail.
Yeah.
So only single managers. Two managers, you step in the office.
No, I'm not a manager. I'm a servant, man. I appreciate you coming.
So
No
you
problem.
didn't know they were coming?
No,
Wow.
no, they
How
just said.
cool.
Anna sent me a note and she said, "Is there anything I can help you with?" And I was looking at it like, I don't know what she means. They were parked in the parking lot. So this is so that I can work on my book, James. I have
Oh, all the Jesus
Yep,
stuff.
right
There
here.
you go. Yep. You getting
Here's
it
some
all?
Hebrew, and
Mhm.
we're ready.
Boy, it looks great. The bookshelves fit perfectly.
I still have a few things to pull out that I don't want in here, maybe, but
Mhm.
you know, for the most part, I got what I need.
And I love it. You're using the desk that I use.
Mhm.
Yours and David's name.
Yep,
Perfect. So good, Russ.
we're ready.
Wow. Very.
So we're gonna just talk a little bit about in
Yeah.
its
Let me
time. We'll
eat just
hasten
a
it.
minute
Yeah,
before you
that's
start,
fine.
because I haven't eaten since this morning.
Dave, I'm gonna leave the camera on and I'm gonna turn it on mute while a few people eat, and then we'll let people fellowship and tell them to stay with us because we're gonna go live in a few minutes. Oh, that's right. Yeah, now it may be Bridget. She's leaving. Glenn's going to bring my car back to me. James, you going to get the lost sheet?
Okay, you guys, you have to come in, you don't have to come in here either.
I thought you were talking about the microphone. No. With the microphone, just point it towards Dave and Patty and I so that we can get a word in. Bye, Toby.
Bye, Toby. Bye, Bridget.
Bye, Bridget.
Bye, Bridget. Bye, Toby. Wherever you are. Oh, there's Toby.
Okay, so we ready? Okay, so Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. It is lovely to have you join us here in Saint Francisville. Many of you have come a long way, and for that we appreciate the travels. And not only my good friends Dave and Patty came in today. You've been flying. You guys have been in airports with absolutely the funniest thing is that you guys ended up on the airplane right in front of Bridget and Toby, who were flying back from Canada from filming. They were on the same flight. Were you in seat 33?
No. They were right behind us.
I don't think that plane had 33 seats. Otherwise,
You wouldn't have wanted it to have.
Nice. So here we are in Saint Francisville in a very beautiful building that is a beautiful building because of many of you. Not only have people contributed their time, their resources, their finances, their physical labor, help on our website. Anna, I mean, this place is it represents way more than Ross Nichols. I always tell people this is not the Ross Nichols show because I'm surrounded by beautiful and talented people. I'm very, very humbled and pleased to be here. And what I wanted to do tonight, I want to read one verse. Actually, it's not even an entire verse. I want to read one portion of a verse and then sort of open it up to this group that sits here with me. You're welcome to ask questions or fire off comments. But there's a passage, I don't know why I opened it up. I know it. It's Isaiah chapter 60, verse 22. And in Hebrew, it says, and in its time, I will hasten it. In its time, I will hasten it. Meaning, not before. I'm going to state the obvious here. Not before. Like you couldn't make this happen if you tried. You couldn't push it faster. You couldn't stop it and slow it. But in its time, Hashem says, I will hasten it. Something incredible started happening for me this year. So in a lot of people's eyes, people would say, oh my God, I feel so bad for Ross. His wife, his son, they're off all the time. They're making movies. He's all alone. He just lost his job, Ralph. My God, the guy's got to be on the verge of jumping off a cliff.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So anyway, but again, everything that's happening, I have one thought in my mind. In its time, I will hasten it. I don't think that this group, United Israel, could make a wrong decision. I'm not being boastful. I'm not trying to sound like this. I don't think we could make a wrong decision now if we tried. Meaning, things are going, it's like the doors are opening and we're just going in. I mean, would you agree? I mean, it's just, when Dave first told Sherry and I, she was witness to this, Dave kept saying, look at that building right across the street. I mean, it's literally right across the parking lot. And I gave every reason why it wasn't the right place. I think it's the right place. I think that we are on the verge, on the cusp of something quite incredible. David would say to people, David Horowitz would say something to the effect that this is the one truth, not meaning that David Horowitz possessed it. the Hebrew Bible. See, the Hebrew Bible contains the whole truth, nothing but the truth, right? And I think what's amazing, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, and I'm sure others will have talks that sort of similarly say the same thing. It's this message from the Torah and the prophets is what the world needs to hear. And I think United Israel is the vehicle to do it. And this group of people that I'm surrounded by, I think, are the people that can help with you. I mean, all of us. We can take a message that can change the world.
Russ, I wanted to kind of play off of your first comment. This was the time.
Yeah.
Stephen Jobs said in a great speech, you cannot connect the dots going forward. You look backwards and you see how they were connected.
Oh, yeah.
You losing your job, go back and you meeting other folks, and you met James Tabor and Ralph Bunton and David Horowitz, and we met James Tabor through a freak call to the University of North Carolina looking for other Tabors. Who knew why we made that call to James Tabor that day? We'd never know who you were, and so
that would have been tragic.
Yeah.
I mean, that alone.
Yeah. So looking backwards, you can connect the dots and see
All the things that
We're
need
ready
to
for
happen
this
to
time.
get to where we are
and
today.
and we wouldn't have been ready if one of the other things that I wanted to mention about, I've watched you for a long time now. One of the things that impressed me was that you went through the Torah Bible readings for this yearly cycle for many times, and you got it down. And now we can look at the prophets and other deeper subjects and say, well, this is maybe what those things mean. But if you don't know the Hebrew, if you don't know the Torah, you can't be talking about the end of the book or those days. So I just wanted to agree with you 100%. When you look backwards, it makes sense. But looking forwards, you probably thought the day you left that company, we won't mention their name.
May their name be blotted from the book.
But I saw it in the airport. But I would say this, Ross, you probably thought this isn't good, and, but it is good. And for the folks that are not here, this place is just beautiful, and it has the same feel. I can feel Lori Woodall's presence here. It is just beautiful, and it's
She probably is watching this.
It's time to open it up to the rest of the public. And
No, she's wondering why you didn't recover those chairs.
You're good.
So I just wanted to say, I think that it is, you're correct. This was the time, and people like, who knew we'd meet Jodelle Onstad and all the other great people that are here. Dave Cole that I met through here has become, and Sherry, they've become good friends. And we're all our own little Noahs or Elijahs or whatever. Like, we're the only ones left. Well, no, we're not. And we're finding those people. And I'm sure there are other groups, but I just want to say everyone should be welcome to our group. We don't judge folks, and we're trying to learn the way.
I think the UPS man's going to show up, Dave. He stopped in today, and he came in. This is the guy I told you that loves the color. He stopped in. I thought we had a package. So I opened the door and I was like, hey, my man, what you got for me? He said, nothing. I just want to get the name of that paint one more time. So Dave and I have made friends with him.
I wanted to say something picking up on Dave's comment that rationally speaking, and even philosophically speaking, I think experts would say that we are order-seeking creatures as humans. In other words, we're always trying to make patterns out of things. And so there would be a tendency from a psychological point of view to say, oh yeah, you're finding all these connections, and this means this, and this fits this. But everybody does that, and that's just life. And the point is, you're imposing on these things this order. This would be the dominant opinion of the educated world. I can tell you that, the academic world. And until you have experienced it yourself and realized that a whole lot of things were not you trying to impose something, far from it, it just either hit you in the face or it was a complete left field kind of thing. And every one of you sitting here has stories. I hope we can share some of them. How did you come to this spot right now tonight in this building? what drew you here? What's your interest? And you might go back 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years even. And then Dave's already mentioned the connections I have with him, the connections I have with Ross. Each one of these is a story, like how it happened. It's usually very, very unpredictable and unusual. Often it depends upon just a couple of really odd events, or it wouldn't even have come about. So even though I agree, we try to go through our lives and make order. You know, we want to, well, why is this happening? And what's this? And what does this mean? I don't really think that accounts for even 10% of what most of this group has experienced and is experiencing. And so I think there might be about 26 people here, but I would say probably each one of you have your own account of that sort of thing. You know, if you first heard of Ross, well, how did you hear of Ross? And what was it? So we don't have time to recite all those tonight, but you can sit there and think about it. And I have in my Bible back there in my briefcase, I gave you and Ralph, I think I gave Dave and Patty a copy. It's a quote from Micah where it says, in the last days I will show him wonders as in the days when I led Israel out of Egypt. So I just called it wonders, or Peleot. Pele is the word in Hebrew. And I listed everything I could think of. I went back about 20 years, and I would encourage you to do that. Make a list. How did you get where you are? What have been your paths taken? Who are the influential people? How did you meet them? What have been some of the extraordinary things that have happened? Because over and over in the Torah, it says, lest you forget. Lest you forget. And as making this list, I was weeping because I realized some of the greatest things I'd like forgotten. I had to get my calendar book out and go back through and realize you say the signs and wonders. So if I could make that book right there float around the room right now, some people might be impressed. I'd probably be impressed if I could do it. But you know what? It actually would be nothing compared to the ordering of a human life towards God. Yes, that would be like a cheap trick, so to speak. You know, really nothing. It's physics. We're not talking physics. We're talking the human soul, the human heart. So I wanted you to think about that. And it could be that the convergence tonight with our 26 people is one of those beginnings, small beginnings, but in its time, I will hasten it. And that's kind of what's on my mind tonight. I've got some more things to say, but just picking up on what Dave said. So I hope you, and I'll show you my list if anybody wants to look at it. You won't understand a lot of it, but it's pretty amazing. Everyone I know in this room, and I only know some of you, but there's a story about how I met you and when and how it all came about. So,
Ross, if I can add one point to the point James has made. I don't think, I know for me personally and for some of you who know their stories and somewhat, and Ross and James, I don't think anything manifests itself as much in terms of the hand of providence in our own lives than, as Dave said, connecting the dots of our past. Because I think when we do that, I think I know, as I said in my own life, I think that it will humble you to do that and to see where you came from and the trials and the valleys that you've been brought through. And so, like Dave says, when we connect the dots, we can see clearly. And I think when we do that, we can clearly see the hand of providence at work in our life. And it is an amazing, the early 90s, the period James talked about, when so much was happening in all of our lives, and how it converged and came about, and to see the fruits of that effort today, and to see what's happening in hasty fashion, as Ross said, just this year alone. I thought our April meeting was just a fantastic meeting. And so I had a really good feeling about it. And when we've come out of it, just look what kind of year we've had. And, imagine 1 year ago what it all looked like. We're still putting in 55 hours at the mill, and so we've come a long way. And I think this is very exciting times. And I know that David, I have to say, he's probably smiling in his holy repose wherever, and he would be delighted with the progress that's been made.
Let me tell you how I came in touch with David Horowitz, which indirectly that moment would account for this moment. It was in 1989. I'd never heard of David Horowitz, never heard of United Israel Union. I knew there were Reform, Orthodox, Conservative, and Reconstructionist Jews. Those are the four main groups I was aware of. And I knew that I couldn't identify with any form of Christianity, but I wasn't really inclined to convert to Judaism. So I was teaching at the College of William and Mary, and I was sitting in the library thinking about all this, and I looked up on the shelf of the reference, and I saw Encyclopedia of American Religions. And I'd been aware of the book, but never really looked at it. It's about this thick, and it's divided by religion. So it's all American. So it has Buddhism, they're alphabetical. It has Judaism, a section on Christianity, that's huge. Section on Judaism. It's trying to list every group in every major movement there is. So I thought, I don't know, just something hit me. I wasn't studying that. I looked up, I thought, I don't know, maybe there's a Jewish group I haven't heard of, because I didn't want to really be Reform, Orthodox, Conservative for various reasons, social as well as religious. So I pulled the book down, opened it up, and U is the last letter of the alphabet. So you're under J, Judaism, U. So I'm flipping through, no. They had a couple I hadn't heard of, but they were like Shlomo Karlibach had a group. It's called the Renewal Movement. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. The Renewal Movement. I later met him. Some of you know the famous Shlomo Karlibach, the singer. So I got to the last page, one page. U. It's at the end. United Israel World Union. So I read it. And I thought, I've never heard about this. It said, we believe in the one God of Israel. The standard is the Hebrew Bible. Anyone who acknowledges the Hebrew Bible, it's just kind of a restatement of the bylaws you've heard us quote. And then, icing on the cake, it said, we believe scattered among the nations are millions of individuals who are actually Israelites but don't know who they are, and according to the prophets. And I'm just reading this, and I go, no,
Can't be.
this can't be. I would have heard of this. I'm a professor. I know all about Judaism. Teach a course on Judaism. So I wrote, it had the address. So I wrote David Horowitz that day. Still have the letter, still got the letter. He answers. He answered within, I probably got it 3 days later, just however fast the mails can go. And so that was the beginning. So that then, I'm pleased to say that I was that link. And for David, it was a kind of life for the dead because I had connections with a whole bunch of other people. Some of them are here right now. And so David suddenly realized that, because he felt, you talked about the tabernacle fallen, he felt that he was in his 90s. Well, actually, it was 88, I think, when this happened. But he felt that there wasn't a lot more he could do in it. The movement had a great future. I mean, a great past, but it kind of slowed down. And so he said to us later, all of us, different times in New York, he said, I've had 2 resurrections in my life. The first was when I found that my son that I didn't know exist, Herbert Solomon, was alive, as I learned that I had a son, because his other son was killed in the Holocaust. And he didn't even know Herbert Solomon existed. He had married a woman. She became pregnant. Her parents annulled the marriage. She forbade her to tell that she was pregnant. And so he never knew. And then they married her off to a arranged marriage to another person in the Jewish community, Mr. Solomon. So he said that was the first one. And the second one was when you wrote me, Yaakov, and not just you, but all those people you were connected with. He said that was also a resurrection from the dead, because I didn't know you existed and then you did. So he would be very pleased, especially with this. Oh, it's so tiny in a way, but it's so large. If he walked in, he would say, this is historic. Toward the end of his life, I guess I'll get like this too. I'm 70 and he was 90. But he couldn't talk without crying. He's like Betty, my sister. You know Betty? Betty can't talk without crying. But he would look out at our group in New York. It was just a small group like this, and his apartment was the last meeting. And he would start to talk, and then he couldn't talk because he was so overcome with emotion. It was sort of like, my children, you're alive, you're alive, you're like, I'm an old man, I'm 99, I'm gonna die. But you're young, and Ralph is a vice president of the company, and you're a professor, and Ross has all this education with the Bible, and Dave, with his business and all these things that you guys do. It's like there's all this pulsating life. And he'd start crying. And then he would straighten up and be able to talk, but he once would start crying. He'd look at the crowd and just start bawling. And I think older people do that. My mother did that as she got into her 90s. Have any of you had that experience where, don't you think they're just thinking about everything and just loving the people they're looking at? And I'm sure we'll all be ball babies when we're getting old. So. Anyway, so that story, I pulled the book down, flipped it. To me, we call these axial moments where whole things hinge on. So that turned out for me to be the most axial moment of my life in the last 30 years. Just that moment. So.
And the story of David's quest for God and connected us, many of us in ways. I know all of us that are sitting up here, Dave and Patty and Ralph and James and I, Dennis as well. I know the 3 of us traveled with Dennis to see Amicia Gabori. So we've been in this movement, if you will, around the whole David Horowitz saga, as James called it. James wrote a paper in the 90s called 70 Years on the Path to Sinai. Well, the thing that I feel when I'm in this building, I spend a lot of time alone these days. When you have 6 kids and you raise a family, and they grow up and they go off, and most of my kids are gone now, grown up and gone, and I have grandkids over from time to time, but I spend a lot of time alone. And my wife left me. And I one of the things that I tell people is that I am not jobless. I have potential. If I had any singing talent, my wife left me. I lost my job. This is the makings for a good country song.
It's a great country song.
But really, in my alone time, and especially in this building since I moved here, I've slept on that couch, like literally. Come up here and work until it's too late to drive home, and I've read until I can't see straight, and I'll sleep right here. So this place is very special to me. It's more special now that you're all in it, but I can tell you that there's something about the Hebrew Bible. There's a message within the Hebrew Bible that we have yet to truly proclaim in a way that I think it's supposed to be proclaimed. I believe, I've taught on this for years, but more and more I'm coming to this place where I don't need to apologize for whether or not this faith lines up with another. I don't care. I jokingly told Aaron's daughters the other day, I'm 50 years old. I don't have to explain it. Because I've reached a place in my life. I've reached a place in my life where I represent something bigger than myself. Right? It doesn't matter to me that this group that I'm seated today with, although in their own right, I mean, honestly, Dave and Patty own their own company, a major company. Ralph was one of the senior executives in a major organization, well known. James is one of the senior, I mean, he's a great biblical scholar. But you know what's great about this organization? Have you ever heard the term hierarchical? It's not hierarchical. I call any one of these people and we can cry on the phone together. I can say, look, I need X number of dollars. I don't have a job. I want to rent a building. I don't have the money for it, but I've got this feeling that this is right. You know what every one of them say? We're going to pray about it. We're with you. We're going to move this forward. Because this organization is not about anyone that's sitting here. It's about the Hebrew Bible and the vision and goal of the prophets. To me, that's the most moving thing. When Dave emphasized we need to get this building, James, what do you call that when someone sort of verifies that? You know, the confirmation, that's the word, yeah. Confirmed it the next day. He said, I'm walking around with my iPhone on video, FaceTiming, saying, look, James, I can't get in it, but this building, I'm in a bad spot. I don't have any money. The building I'm in is not big enough to invite more people. What do? You got to get the bigger building, right? So we did. We got, if you look around, is this building pretty nice? I think it's.
And I had no idea Lori would react the way she did.
Oh my God, this
I
is
had no
another
idea.
story.
I told her, and we looked at the pictures of the raw building. She goes, "Oh, well, they could have like this table because we have this table, and they could have."
Wait, let me jump in
four
here.
of the bookcase.
Wait,
She's already. I said, so you're okay? Like all this stuff you worked on.
so let me tell you this.
She
quick.
goes, oh yeah, we'll make it so great. It'll be like we split it, and it'll be as much left.
Yeah.
You know, the
It's like a
multiplication
multiplication of the loaves.
The loaves, the
You should see the place in Charlotte. I can show. I went there today before I left, and I just walked in, and I sat in David's chair. By the way, that's David's chair over there. If you want to sit in David's chair, and I just almost started crying, but I held it back. I'm alone, and I just thought, it is so lovely here where I'm sitting. How did it happen that all that stuff went here? And you know,
He was having
Gave all my
remorse.
stuff.
He was having remorse.
Well, I tell you, the night before, you have to back this up because in its time I will hasten it. If you back this up 30 days, there's nothing here. 30 days. We made Mark Day. Look in Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, you're missing a great story. If Mark and Dave and I drove to Charlotte, we moved everything here, but we were given most of this. But I'll tell you, right before that happened, I was alone in that building, and it was late, like 1 a.m. And my prayer was this: I don't even have bookshelves. Now this sounds bad. This sounds like I'm selfish. I knew I was going to move in the building. I'd already talked to the landlord. I told him I was good for it. Trust me. It sounded like David Orrick. Trust me. I'm going to bring you the money. I promise you. He's thinking, you don't even have a job. But I said, I promise you, I'm going to get this building. We're going to move in it. Everything's going to be cool. We shook hands. This guy's great. My landlord is great. But I was alone and I said, I don't even have bookshelves for the books that I have. I have books on the floor. So I slept in that building. Now, people don't know this. So the next morning at 5 a.m., I get a phone call from this guy. James said, Lori and I have been up all night. And we're talking about your new place. We're going to give you all my bookshelves. That's the first thing he told me. We're going to give you all my bookshelves. Now, I've seen his bookshelves, and I'm thinking, how is it that Jehovah cares about my bookshelves? But he does. Have you seen my other bookshelves? I have to show you. The other bookshelves are across the street. I'll show them to you.
See, these were my personal bookshelves that I gave him. And the ones we still have that are absolutely stunning, you've seen them, that we still have, belong to UIW.
Yeah.
Well, these now belong to UIW because we gave them to you.
Yeah. So it's
I had
amazing.
these like,
But these are an
30
answer to a
years ago.
prayer. These bookshelves, there are 3 here. There are 3 in my office. And I didn't have a desk, which I didn't even dare ask God for a desk. I mean, I thought I'll just, in fact, the old credenza or whatever, I was going to use that for a desk. And so when James said, oh, and I'm going to give you my desk, I wrote my PhD dissertation on it, but you can have it. So imagine when you walk around, like when I showed you around, I want you to know that this place represents, it's about our movement. It's not about me. It's not about James. It's not about Ralph or Dave and Patty. It's really about a vision that the prophets had that said that, and I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, so I don't want to give it away, but the idea is that truly there is a message from Moses and the prophets that the people of the streets need to hear. It goes beyond any other religion. It's more powerful. It's more effective. It does more for you. It does more to you than anything that the world has ever seen. I believe that we are on the verge of seeing something quite important. Right now, a lot of people are finding their way. And someone actually said this earlier, referring to me as sort of a pioneer, because I've been doing this for so long. But when I sit next to my friends who've been doing it just as long or longer, I see a lot of the people that are coming in, not as someone it's not that you don't have, it's that you have life. You, the people who are coming in later so we've been doing this since a long time, people that are finding the way now, to me, you bring life into the movement. I don't look at you as, oh, you just started this. I think it's incredible. I think it's the future of the movement. So I'm excited about not only tonight, I'm excited about this weekend. Unless someone has something real pressing tonight, I want people to rest. I want people to come back in the morning. The building's going to open at 9 a.m., 9-ish, right, Dave? I'll be here probably. I might still be here. But, yeah, I might sleep on
so
my
are
sofa.
you kicking us out now?
No, I'm not going to keep people out. We're going to leave the video feed on, let people fellowship. But I do want people to know that tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., you're used to me on Saturday morning. People are saying, we're not used to you on Saturday morning at all. It's Saturday morning at 10 a.m., tomorrow only. We're going to go live with a teaching I've prepared, or I will prepare tonight, called Preaching Moses, A New Beginning. And I've got some ideas, only ideas, because part of the day I spent working out arrangements for Dave Cole and I to be in the desert of Israel, during which time you won't go without us, by the way. If you thought you could, we're going to be a voice or voices crying in the wilderness.
That's going with it.
That's going with us. That's right. Dave and I are going to be coming to you live from the wilderness of Judea, below the Dead Sea. There are only a few people who've spent 40 days in the wilderness. Moses, Jesus, Elijah, Dave and Ross are going to get close as we can. We're not going to totally fast, but based on our money, we're going to be pretty close, whether we wanted to or not. So Dave and I've already worked out, a couple of carton of eggs, peanut butter and jelly, and we can make it for 30 days. Locust, well, we're vegetarians, so we can't do the locust, but the wild honey, we're in. So please be here at 10 a.m. It's been a while since I talked publicly, but I feel, and I don't say this very often, but I feel very inspired, even though I haven't even taken very many notes, to deliver a message in the morning. And I'm followed by some great people. Betty, James's sister, I feel like she's my sister, is going to talk a little bit. James is going to follow that in the afternoon. You guys are Saturday, right? So you guys are after James. And then the evening, we're going to have some great time. We're going to have great food. It sounds like a Trump. It's going to be amazing. All of you are amazing. We're going to have amazing. Trust me. We're going to have some amazing.
Ross, are you going to make religion great again?
We're going to make religion great again. We're going to make Israel great again. Yeah. So, yes, Jack, welcome, Jack. So good to see you.
Sorry, Jack, I have a long trip.
That's okay. We're just so glad to see you.
I have a profound question. So we have Charlotte and we have here, right? So
Yep.
2 locations.
Yep.
So which one's Constantinople, which one's Rome?
Ah, good question. What if both point the way to Jerusalem, but from different vantage points? So we do have, see, now I know Jack knows his Bible, so you got to be careful when you engage. But as you know, that's a good lead in.
It's Dan to Beersheba, basically.
Dan to Beersheba. So just to kind of answer that, that is a good question about Charlotte and Saint Francisville, and we also have in Rome, New York.
Rome, so Rome is Rome.
That's right. Rome is Rome.
And David Horowitz, I don't know if he ever came to St. Francisville, but he did come 26 miles from our house.
Hey, that's right. 26 is an important number too.
You
By the way.
would think.
We're going to talk
Don't
about
start
that.
about.
I found 26 cents
And he
under
also-
that cabinet, and we have it under the glass right
I
now.
also went to Charlotte.
He also went to Charlotte.
There you go.
So here, just to let you know, to kind of tie the locations in, Charlotte is the executive office, right? The president, the library, the main headquarters is still in Charlotte for our organization.
Archives.
The archives. Ralph has got a good bit of the archives in Asheville. Now he loaded his vehicle
Basement
up.
full archive.
So he'll be doing a lot of writing there. This is what we would call the United Israel Center South. So the entire South, like draw a line straight through the middle of the U.S. Everything south is what we're going to basically, until we get someone out west and so forth. These guys have the northeast.
Northeast.
Well, actually, the north right now.
Right now, but I'd say the Northeast, most of the people in the
Yeah,
United
it's
States
Northeast.
live
Yeah.
within where we live.
What we-
Now it's pretty funny because when the Zionist Congress first met, it was like 8 guys that went and rented tuxes, and they started talking like we're talking. You have the Northeast, right, Dave and Patty? You got the Northeast.
Northeast, South.
You got the
West, we got-
Northeast,
got all
right?
the winds.
You guys got the
Yes,
East.
Simca told us that. I wasn't aware of it. that
Yeah.
The first Zionist Congress was actually a photo op mainly. Like it really, they didn't really have anything. They were just,
Red,
They rented
suits
their
and
tuxes.
Like we're gonna do all this.
So we have the South. Dave and Sherry and I have the South, and Glenn, we have the South. Now, interesting about Glenn, if you saw, by the way, we have a beautiful printed black and white copy of the program for this weekend. And on that, on Sunday, Glenn Chatterton is going to be ordained. United Israel, as a functioning body, a religious, instructional, educational outreach, has the ability to ordain certain people. Dave actually brought this up. Glenn is moving to Michigan. Strange set of circumstance. We're in the middle of all this. Glenn, our right-hand man, guy's been with us forever. We never turn around. Glenn's not there. Glenn says, "Hey, I'm moving." What? What the hell are you talking about? You're moving. How are you moving? We're busy. We're right in the middle. He's moving. So Dave said, "This is perfect." Dave's always the eternal optimist. He goes, "We just need to ordain him. Send him up there. He can start a chapter."
Are you sure he's not on the board?
Oh,
'Cause he influences it terribly.
He does. He's the only guy that talks to me, right? Locally. So I called James. James is like, absolutely. This is perfect.
I am bored.
Or you are bored.
See, I think what we have in mind and how we organize it can vary, but what we're thinking about is there would be these regional centers, maybe 5 of them, and they would all have buildings or space. The headquarters doesn't need it because it's more of an office, but like Rome and in Michigan, it'll take time, but and then we need something in the West. So you'd have so that covers the US. We also have Australia, we have
Canada.
South Africa, the United Kingdom, we have Europe.
British Columbia.
So eventually we would have all of
Canada.
these. But in addition to that, we would have what you could call chapters, or David called them units. Ralph thinks that word might be out of date, but I'm not sure. I sort of like it. But a unit would be, let's say in the southern region, there could be 10 units. Because everybody can't drive to Saint Francisville. So what do you need that? Like Jodell and Jack absolutely are already basically a unit. So how do you become a unit? If you are tuning into the weekly Sabbath broadcast and are willing to invite people in to your home, by definition, you're a unit. You see? Because you are joining with the headquarters and the
Unified.
teacher, and then your email would be on the website, not where you are. We're not going to put personal addresses where you get rocks thrown through your window or something, but your email. And people would write and say, oh, I see you're in Asheville or wherever, Mississippi. I'm like an hour and a half from you. Do you all do you do anything on the Sabbath, or could we come? So that's sort of what we're thinking. Linda, others, I'm thinking, that are willing to do that. It doesn't mean you have to have a big, huge house that can host 30, 40 people. You might have a kitchen table and a computer and a laptop. The point is you're open to have people come, talk about the Bible, talk about our vision. And we feel, because the message is so simple. So usually churches will say, oh, well, you've got to have a lot of instruction because all the doctrines are complicated. We got to be sure you're straight and you don't have any heresy.
One means one.
Yeah. But if you say, the basic thing is we believe in the Creator God and the revelation of the Hebrew Bible. And that's the OT, the only testament, right? Then we're all working that out, right? So we don't, so I think as long as people are sincere and they're like tuning into this man teaching, I don't think we really have to worry about, say, well, how can you say somebody is a unit? They might not have all the right ideas.
James, I wanted to say one other thing too. I see a
So
lot
I
of,
think that's kind of the vision.
Yeah.
we have, yeah.
and it doesn't even have to be your house. A lot of groups rent a hotel room
Could be that, yeah.
on Saturday morning for $100. Everyone chips in, and
Mhm.
we see that. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it could be that.
Yeah, libraries have. different-
Libraries, sometimes free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, obviously, we studied the Bible intently before we met James and Ross, and we study it intently now. I mean, if Ross doesn't come on, we just do our own broadcast at our own house or wherever we're meeting, and we still usually read the Bible before Ross comes on and afterwards, or whenever we feel like doing it.
Right.
And the issue is that it's I want people to understand that they're just not some sort of automaton coming out of Ross. It's the people that come to this movement are usually very well read in the Bible.
Oh yeah.
And they're
That's how
gonna
they get there.
they're gonna throw fastballs at Ross or James or any of us, and you have to go, I got to think about that. So we're not getting people off the street and saying you just believe this doctrine and you're saved. We're like, well, you have to be a good person and you have to do good in your life, and I always try to tell people when I talk to them about our faith, you got to go towards God. God's not going to come down and pick you up. The salvation coming down from heaven and grabbing you is not what this is about. We have to raise our consciousness above the slug,
You're turning to me and I'll return to you.
Exactly. And you have to go up, and it means working hard and reading and understanding, and learning Hebrew and history. And one of the great things that I loved about James Tabor's book is that he brought the historical in, and you understand why people did things, and so all of that is there. The other term I wanted to say, Ross, when you said, this is an egalitarian group, so there isn't a hierarchy, and it's tough to have a bunch of people who all think they know what that they're the one who knows everything.
I'm surrounded by y'all.
Yeah, that's what it is, and I have to keep correcting it. But the point is that, and there's things that we disagree with, and we can agree to disagree. Not in the 98% of what we agree on, but the bottom line at the end of the day is that this and the outreach, we have to be embracing people and understanding and listening, and they have to listen to us, and it's a process, and it's intellectual, it's spiritual, it's emotional, and we never joined a group. Patty and I never joined a group after I was kicked out.
Well,
of the
what I
Catholic
like
Church.
about United Israel and Ross's teachings is that it's not just like going to a church and listening to a preacher and having to accept everything this person says, but it's more like teaching people how to learn again. Teaching the Hebrew. Well, what is the Hebrew meaning and things like that. In Jodel's book, it's teaching people how
It's
to do
education.
how to do their own research and how to
Critical thinking.
right and walk
Yeah.
for yourself, like Ross has always
I
said.
heard Ross say
Based on
something
your
that
questions.
another guy taught me.
Search them.
One of the guys that first grabbed me, and his name was James, and Stocker. He was a Swiss man, and he had joined what was called the Church of Christ. Right? He came and was very quiet, and he always ended with, "David, don't believe what I say. It's in the Bible. Read it for yourself." And that's how we are in this group. We want you to pick up that Bible and read it and ask questions and interact and learn it so that you can tell other people this is my faith or whatever. And the issue is, I think that's a very different thing about this group is I've had a lot of my Jewish friends come and say, "How come you know so much about the Bible?" Because they've been taught just the doctrine, and then they start reading the Bible and go, And the issue is that's how we all got to where we at. We threw away all the other
Well,
doctrines.
in a lot of organizations, Jewish and Christian, you're not allowed to do this research for yourself, but you're supposed to accept the
Right.
interpretation of
Yeah.
the person in charge there, and so
It's-
that's what I think is different about this.
Yeah.
I think what's really changed though in the last month, besides this opening physically, which is so visible, but if you imagine a year from now, you go to our website, Anna, thank you, and you see on our Who Are We page, say just in the United States, 30 or 40 local people you could contact, and then the centers, and then the central preaching every Sabbath, and not that Roots of Faith in any way was negative, but people were confused in the sense Ross is a vice president of United Israel, but he also does Roots of Faith, which is the outreach of United Israel. But then, it wasn't. So as of tonight, and we can announce it officially tomorrow, but everything is joined together. Our legal standing, our finances, everything's joined together. So I think what's going to happen is the momentum, you can already feel it.
The
It's going to
energy.
pick up. Because before people would say, well, oh yeah, there's this guy, Roots of Faith. Yeah, I listen to him on Saturday. He's really good. He has a lot of knowledge. Okay, so you benefited, right? Good. But it wasn't like, and there's this actually international movement of people that tend to believe these 4 or 5 basic principles.
73-year-old
Yeah,
organization.
lost. So I think that's what you're going to begin to see different. It's more of a kind of clarity, really, which I'm going to talk about tomorrow, kind of a clarion call. And everything is now set for that. And I think it begins tomorrow, actually. Even tonight, but tomorrow publicly.
So we have, just to sort of pull things together before we relax for the evening. I did make copies. Please feel free to.
The program is
The program
start there.
is actually where Brooke is sitting. Brooke, raise your hand. Brooke there are programs over there.
What I do?
Brooke,
We should
we'll
put it-
show you those. We had them there just so people could make a name tag. I've told people this. And please wear it at least for tomorrow. And this is not I have two
These are nice names.
because I want to
Who made
be,
these? Brooke?
yeah,
Grace?
Brooke and Grace. And who else helped? I think Carly helped too. So
So why
anyway,
do some people have designs and some don't?
well, that's
Is-
because you're special if you have designs. You're very special. But so we want people to wear name tags. Here's
So
why.
there is a hierarchy after.
There is a hierarchy. We really want people, we want you to engage, because one of the things that I notice is that, Jeremiah talks about this. It's a very strong sense of alone when people begin to find their way. You begin to people, I saw some good friends in this room actually post on Facebook. Facebook is the world we live in, right? And people, you become ostracized because of your beliefs, because of going public with what you believe. Certain people that love and they went to church with you, whatever, they don't feel as comfortable with you. Well, when we come together like this, now many people can't join us in person, but they can because of the modern technology. But when you're together, I want you to mingle. I want you to touch and become close and get to know one another, because that's what we need. So I want you to know each other's names. I have my name twice. The girls wanted me to say who did better, and I'm not going to do that, so I have to wear it too. But you wear your name because I want you to get to know one another. I want you to know people and leave. Many of you travel at great distance, at great expense. I want you to know that you met someone that you have grown close to. It really is important. It's more important than you probably know. And so I look forward to this weekend. Now, back to my point about the printed copies. We printed copies of a little bit about United Israel. We printed copies about the program. Here's what you need to know about the program. I start at 10 a.m. If you're late, you just walk in. It's no big deal, but I can't wait. I've got to start at 10 because people are going to be logging in, on the internet.
They'll be here.
Yeah, so be here because this
I
is.
think I called Stacy Linda and she even has her name tag on.
Oh, well, can you see?
I think I did.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
That's all
I
right.
thought I said, and Linda, you could have a unit or something.
Yeah,
I
I
was
thought
talking
you were.
about
I thought you were
somebody-
calling Kevin Linda, and I was really confused.
I was talking about this woman that keeps looking in the window there. Her name's Linda. I don't know why she's.
Now, why would we have a 61st anniversary special? It's not just because we have 1,000 of these. It's actually the reason that we printed so many of these is because it's really good. And it contains some important things. United Israel, World Union, alive and well at 60. David Horowitz, A Life Remembered. You may not know these stories. What do we really know about modern identity of the lost 10 tribes of Israel? All sorts of things. You got an article in there? What is yours? George Washington's. Welcome to
Yeah, it's a
Jupiter.
real
Visit.
basic issue. So we made, on the 60th anniversary, we made extra copies of it.
Yeah, that's a good article. So we have this. We also have, for those who are here, we have copies of James's book, Restoring Abrahamic Faith. I'm not going to sell anything on Shabbat, but after Shabbat, I will be happy. I'll give you one now. So this is a good deal if you're here now, because you get to take advantage of me not selling on the Sabbath. But after Shabbat, I'll be happy to get those copies to you. James will sign them, and if for a special treat, I'll sign them as James. And that's really a nice
That's a
treat.
33 candles joke.
If, by the way, if you've not read the story of 33 Candles, I have plenty of copies of that I'll be willing to.
I'll sign those.
And you sign those, that's right. As me, signing as James. So, but we do want to have some fun this weekend. We have a lot of talented people in this organization. Here's the thing, to David's point.
You're good. It's close.
Almost.
It's good.
To Dave's point, I don't think for 1 minute, like I don't have a title. Like people say, what do you call? We call you Rabbi. We call me Ross, right? Because I'm a student of biblical studies. I love the Bible. It's my passion. You will never catch me without my Bible. And I carry it with me everywhere, and I love it, and I study it. But I don't really have a title. I believe that the people who gather around me are like a lot like me. They're just as capable of teaching. I just happen to have a guy, Dave, that knows how to put me on the internet. So I tell people all the time that I teach teachers, because my expectation, this is big, you need to get this. My expectation is not that you come in on Saturday to learn and quote Ross, but that you take in, internalize the teaching of the Torah and the prophets, and that you then go out and speak first person. Did you know that God said, you don't have to quote, don't leave me out of it. You just quote the Torah and the prophets. That's all that matters.
Well, who said, Ross, that a good leader doesn't make followers, but makes more leaders?
That's right.
So I think that's
right.
kind of the goal of this.
That's right. It really
of
is.
us.
Our job truly is to be servants, but our job also is to enable other people to be strong leaders for this movement. I hope to live to be 120, but we don't know, right? So what we have to do is we have to set people up around us. I'm looking at people like Kaylee and Grace and Brooke and other people around me to take that ball. Okay, we got a man here. Nicholas is 16. Do you still read Hebrew? A little bit. All right. So my job this weekend, Nicholas, you need to get ready for this, is to inspire you. Get ready, because I watched this young man get up in front of a congregation and read from a Hebrew scroll with no vowel points. And you talk about move, that moved me. Because the strength in leadership that we're looking for is for the young generation to come up behind us. Look, I'm telling you, if I live to be 120, that's going to be great. I look forward to it. I'm going to try my best to do it. But what I really want to see is the 16-year-old people like Nick take that ball and run with it. I want to see people internalize this message. You know, in the Torah, it's funny. The Hebrew Bible, the testimony is called Eshdat, a fire law. Jeremiah talked about it's a fire shut up in my bones. I'm telling you, that's the way it is for me. If I could give one gift to humanity, that would be it. Let me light you on fire. So my goal this weekend is to inspire you to walk out of this place more ignited than you have ever been. Young, old, doesn't matter. That's our job. So 10 a.m. in the morning, I guess I'll have a class together.
Ross, I have a
Yes,
question. You said 9 in the morning. It says
That's when the-
9:30 here.
the doors open 9:30.
Okay.
Just beat on the door. I'll probably be sleeping on that couch. Yeah,
You can
So-
turn
They're
the
good.
coffee on when you come.
that's right. We have plenty of coffee, and we hope that all of you are here. Now, look, I'm not chasing anybody off tonight. When you leave, I'll still be here. So feel free, welcome to mingle and stay as late as you want. But leave early enough that you can get back in the morning. All right. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ross.
We'll be here.